This lesson is we're going to talk about applications of percent, and these are two things that we're going to do. We're going to talk about tax, which we pay when we buy something, and then we're going to talk about tip, which is an extra fee that we give to people. Another word that you may see once in a while that indicates a tip is also called gratuity, but we usually just use tip. But just in case you see the word gratuity, that's what it means, is to add a tip. The first application that we're going to talk about is called sales tax. And a sales tax is a percent of the purchase price that we pay to the government. Each state has its own sales tax. So we have state tax, we have city tax. Springfield has a city tax on top of the state tax. We have county tax. Okay, so those can be different from state to state, from city to city. So taxes are one way of collecting money from individuals to help pay for things going on in the community or things going on in the state. And we can talk a little bit about those tomorrow when we discuss your notes. Okay, so let's look at our first example. We have a desk that cost $159.99, and there's a tax rate of 6%. And we want to find the tax. What is the exact tax? What do we have to do with that 6%? What do we have to do with the 6% before we can set up our problem? Well, we have to change it to a decimal. So the decimal of 6% is 0.06 because I go two places to the left. So now I'm going to take my 159.99, sorry, let me erase that. Okay, and then we're going to multiply that by 0.06. So use your calculators. Don't round anything until we see what the numbers are. Okay, so on my calculator I have 9.5994. This is the tax. Okay. With money we have to round to two decimal places. So what does this 9 tell this other 9 to become? It tells it to become a 10. If it's a 10, I got to carry that 1 over to the 5 and make it a 6. So our tax, rounded, is actually $9.60. This is only the tax. Okay, now we're going to talk about tip or gratuity. A tip is a percent of the bill given to a person for a service. So they're actually doing something for us. So fill in that blank with the word service. We're paying for a service. Who might you pay a tip to? I'm going to ask you to think about that. We're not going to answer any of those questions right now, but who might you pay a tip to? And come back with an example tomorrow of someone who might receive a tip. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and look at the example on your sheet. It says that you have a bill for food for $37.84, and you leave a 15% tip. What is the tip? What is the amount of tip that you leave? Well, just like with tax, we're going to have to change this 15% to a decimal, so that becomes 0.15. Remember, two places to the left. So now I'm going to use my calculator and I'm going to multiply 37.84 times 0.15. Tell me what you get from your calculator, because we'll have to round it because we are dealing with money. My calculator told me $5.676. How am I going to round that to two decimal places? This 6 tells the 7 to jump up. So my tip, the exact tip, is going to be $5.68. Now I have a question for you. Would you actually sit there and count out the 68 cents what are you more likely to leave on the table? Some of you will probably say $5 because it's easy just to throw one bill down. Some of you may throw down $6 or $7, okay? But this is the exact tip, and that's what you'll be finding. Okay, let's do another example of tip. In this example, you have a meal that costs $24.95, and you leave a 20% tip. How much money was the tip? How much was the money exactly? So you're going to set up your problem again, the cost of the meal, which was $24.95, and you're going to multiply that times 20%. Remember, change it to a decimal, 2 places. And then tell me what you get for the tip. I'm not going to fill that in. I want to know what you got for the tip. And then give me another answer after you figure out your tip. What would you actually leave on the table? The last thing we're going to talk about in this lesson is total cost. And that involves going to the store, purchasing an item, paying the tax, and finding out what is the total amount that you have to pay to take that item home with you. So our example is about a pair of jeans, and the jeans cost $49.95. And our tax rate is 7.5%. We need to change that tax rate to a decimal. So I'm going to take my decimal and go 2 places to the left. So my tax rate is actually 0.075. I will multiply that now times the cost of the jeans. And this is how I'm finding my tax. When I get my answer, I'm going to have to round it, and I'm going to round to $3.75. Now, is that how much I pay the clerk when I leave? No, because here's the price of the jeans. So now I have to add these two numbers together. Here's my tax, and here's my jeans over here. So I'm going to take $49.95, and I'm going to add $3.75. So how much does it cost me to walk out of that store with a new pair of jeans? Okay, here are your 3 got it problems, and you have space on the back to write these down. First one is finding the tax. Find the tax only on the cost of a sweater. So just finding the tax. And the second one, you have a meal that you've purchased and you're leaving a 20% tip. So we only want to know what the tip is. And in the final question, you're actually figuring out the total cost for the sweater that you bought in problem number 1. So you need to add the sweater and the tax together to get your total cost. Okay? Good luck with your problems, and we'll talk about these tomorrow.